State of the Sun Devils with Jeremy Schnell, Jesse Morrison, and Mitch Bareldes, an Arizona Sports podcast.
Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils. What's going on, guys? What's happening? If you're just listening to the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel right now. We have sunglasses and hats on, and we're gonna do the entire show like that, right, guys?
We coming.
Yeah. I don't know why we would be doing it like this on this week.
This way we're not hard to find. You know what I mean?
We're not gonna make it personal this week, because Colorado's actually okay, guys.
Yeah, Jesse,
they're not bad, but they're not
Their
great.
defense is terrible.
Jesse, I need you to apologize for your Colorado comments from a couple of weeks ago.
We don't
want Coach Prime coming after us.
Here's the thing.
No, that would be great. That would grow our podcast like big time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They will find this.
Okay.
And it will. Okay, so say it. Go ahead.
Colorado.
There you go. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
you're going to get us in trouble.
Colorado just gives me cauliflower.
Even though we're doing an entire podcast in hats and sunglasses as an homage or tribute or even a poke fun. I don't know.
I love Deion Sanders.
Coach
Deion
Prime.
Sanders is awesome.
You need to call him Coach Prime this week, or else you're going to make it personal.
I'm not making anything personal. I don't think Deion Sanders cares about what a 25-year-old podcast host in Arizona has to say about it.
I don't know. He cares about what a 50. I don't know how old Jay Norvell is. He cares about what Jay Norvell had to say a few weeks ago.
Because he's another coach on another team.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's getting fired up and motivated over what I have to say. I'm not that important.
Did you
the
see
world
how
does
he
not revolve around me.
Did you see what he said to Ed Werder after week 1?
That's Ed Werder. I'm not Ed Werder.
But that's the media, Jesse, and that's what we are.
Yeah, but I'm not Ed Werder.
Cowboys reporter.
Maybe someday
He's
you
the
can be
Cowboys reporter. Exactly.
Maybe someday you could be Ed
Werder
Werder
for ESPN.
Okay, so here's what's going on. First of all, let me introduce my co-host here, alongside Mitch Bareldes and
That's
Jesse
me.
Morrison. I am Jeremy Schnell. This is State of the Sun Devils. It's a big week for ASU because Colorado's coming to town, and it's a big week for Colorado because they've lost 3 in a row.
2 in a row.
2 in a row. Sorry, ASU's lost how many in a row? 4 at this point.
4 in a row.
It's not been great, but we've seen sparks, right? We've seen moments in which we were like, maybe this team will win another game. This is a big chance, a good chance for ASU to win another game this season.
They would have beaten Cal if they just hadn't had 12 players on the field.
Well, and if
when in football, the goal of the game is to have 11 players against 11 players. When you have 10 players, it usually doesn't work out for your defense. Notre Dame frauds. And then if you have 12 players, you're going to get penalized for that if you're the offense.
Are you trying to explain
or the defense?
Are you trying to explain football to Swifties right now? Is that what you're doing?
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of Swifties that have.
when you
watched a lot of
score
football.
more points than the other team, you win the game.
That's weird.
So, Jaden Ott for Cal averaged 5.7 yards per carry on 165 rushing yards.
He just ran all over
I
them.
think that was probably one of the biggest reasons why ASU lost last week, but I digress. Let's get into the quarterback play
That
of
too.
Trenton.
Yeah, they can't stop the run.
Let's get into the quarterback play of Trenton Bourguet. He's most likely going to be the starter this week. I haven't seen that officially announced, but we can pretty much deduce that is going to happen this week for ASU, that Trenton will be under center when the game starts.
I mean, we're following the practice reports from some of the great people who cover Sun Devil athletics. Chris Cartman with Sun Devil Source, Hope Rubino with Devil's Digest. You know, they're doing a great job keeping us and everybody in the loop as far as what's going on at ASU practice, and nothing out of the ordinary as far as what's happening at the quarterback room. And, you know, Kenny Dillingham seems to trust Trenton Bourguet, and Bourguet did have a great passing game in terms of the yardage he was able to have. There's still a couple of mistakes here and there, of course, a couple of just barely missed passes when he's trying to go above that 10-yard range. So improvement for Trenton Bourguet is a must, obviously, and a bounce-back week for Camp Scadaboo as well. But it really all starts with Trenton, and if Trenton can put together complete drives like he was able to in the second half of last week's game, ASU might be in good shape, Jesse.
ASU is going to, in this game, be able to score, but the problem is that Colorado's offense is very good. There you go, Coach Prime. I'm praising your team. If you're gonna really pay attention to this podcast that we're doing here, Yes, Colorado's offense is very good. Yes, they had the game against Oregon. I think Oregon's really good. I think they're a national championship contender. I think they are the national championship contender along with Washington in the Pac-12, not USC. Obviously not Colorado.
This is very much becoming the best conference in the nation this year.
This season, yes. Which is, again, a shame because
hilariously
it's not gonna
ironic,
be a thing
right?
Next year. But anyway, their offense can score. They can get their playmakers in space. Shedeur Sanders is a great quarterback. When they get rolling, they seem to get confidence. Like I believe Dion said after the game,
Coach Prime.
I can't just get that like down naturally.
It's okay.
I said Dion.
It's okay.
I always said Dion.
Say what you say. You're good.
Anyway,
You can even say Coach Sanders if you want.
You're antagonizing him.
DS said that if they had gotten the ball in that onside kick, they would have scored, and I fully believe him because they just seem like when they have that mojo going, there's nothing that they can there's nothing that can stop them. So I think that.
What do you want to see out of Trenton Bourget, Jesse? We're going to get into Colorado in just a little bit. I want to know what you want to see from the offense in Trenton Bourget.
I'm saying that ASU is going to be able to score a lot of points in this game, probably somewhere in the 30s. But the problem is that that Colorado is also going to be able to score a lot of points and probably in the 50s because they have more talented players on offense than ASU does. However, they do have a really bad offensive line. ASU doesn't have a great offensive line, so you're probably going to see a lot of quarterbacks under pressure. Trenton's going to have to deal with that.
This game feels, just looking ahead a bit or trying to predict ahead a little bit, this game kind of feels reminiscent of what we ended up seeing out of the CU-TCU game back in week 1, where, yeah, it was a predicted heavy favorite in favor of the team that was the runner-up national champion, right? And instead what we got was this offensive back and forth all the way through. And I think that we're going to kind of see the same scenario where ASU is going to have a much better bounce-back game offensively, but part of that is because Colorado's defense is suspect, and they're also without their best defensive player. Whereas on the opposite side, to Jesse's point, Colorado's offense is very much going to keep pace with ASU's offense because ASU's defense is missing a couple of key players and has been somewhat suspect this year. I find this is going to be a very competitive game offensively. Defensively, it's just going to be about who can get more stops.
I think in terms of offensively for ASU, Scadaboo's only averaging 4 yards a carry, which is good in the NFL, but in NCAA, you'd like to see a running back average a little bit more in the yards per carry department. He is getting a lot of touches, though, and he really did help in the receiving game last week. Had that really long reception that almost he took all the way. And he's getting involved in the passing game somehow. He's 3 for 4 passing this year for 60 yards. Almost had a touchdown last week.
That's what you meant by passing game.
And Jeremy, I really did. Like, this point was about Trenton Bourget that I was making earlier. It's like he's going to have a good game because Colorado's defense, as I watched against USC, there's just open space.
Sure.
There's open space and there's receivers running in that open space. So look out for Elijah Badger to have a big game.
Exactly.
Yep.
Do we want to see more from him?
I think he's been pretty good.
I think he's been good. I think they just can't. They haven't gotten the ball into his hands enough, and that's not his fault. He seems to be open a lot. It's just they haven't gotten the ball into his hands, and he seems to be their best playmaker on offense.
This is a season that's, generally speaking, it's unlike any other, right? They're already on their 3rd quarterback of the year. They've seen 4 quarterbacks touch the field. Elijah himself had a very interesting approach to this season because he had to serve a half game suspension for the actions against U of A last year. That doesn't necessarily fully impact how Badger's performed this season because he still looks like the same Elijah Badger where he can run and he can catch and he can make the defender have to struggle in a one-on-one matchup, right? But with all of this quarterback change, Elijah's role kind of adjusts as well, right? They're doing a lot more trick packages, particularly with Elijah. Like they're doing the sweeps, right? Because they can use his speed in open space, and it seems to benefit them. And as we've talked about a bunch, Trenton doesn't have the same arm talent that, say, a Jaden Rashada would, or even a Drew Pine in some instances.
No,
would.
he's got the same amount of arm strength as Drew.
Well, he doesn't use it then. If he does have the same arm strength, then where is it?
I think
Trent.
He tried some deep passes last week. They were
about the same as that long pass to Badger that Drew Pine had. I think they're relatively the same. I just think that Trenton makes a little bit better decisions. Even though he's thrown 2 really bad interceptions this year, I think he makes the better decisions than Drew Pine.
Ben Coleman was seen practicing this week. He's the transfer from Cal. He played in 25 games there, 16 at left guard and 9 at left tackle. ASU could use some reinforcements on the offensive line, guys.
Necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how the offensive line and the opposite side of the defensive line was going to be suspect going into the year. And then a quarter into the week 2 game, they lost one of their starting tackles. They were already without 2 of their offensive linemen going into that game. This is great news. Anything you can do to get your starting offensive lineman back, huge.
Yeah,
Period.
and Pac-12 experience with Ben Coleman. He, again, as Jeremy mentioned, the 25 games that he has played, and at multiple positions. So you can slide him in a guard, you can slide him in a tackle. It's kind of wherever they need him the most. So I think this is great for ASU, especially in a game where they need to protect their quarterback because they're going to be able to get after Shedeur Sanders. Like that is going to be able to be a thing. So if ASU can protect Bourget while getting after Sanders, that's a recipe for some potential success, maybe an upset.
Wolf would be pretty happy that you're saying this game is going to be won in the trenches.
Oh!
I mean, I'm always echoing Wolf in everything that I talk about.
I think the guy knows football.
Exactly. He knows football.
So punter Josh Carlson is out for this game.
This is tough.
There's a competition between 2 walk-ons, Ian Hershey and Race Mollum. So, yeah, the special teams hasn't been great so far this season in terms of the punting game especially.
But it seems like we know why now, right?
He's been hurt.
How easy is it to kick a football when your foot's hurt?
Yeah, I hope that having a healthy punter means that they don't have to go for it as much.
Yeah.
Because you kind of can't give Colorado the ball like at ASU's 40 and expect to stop that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. So they got to be able to punt and switch the field in this game. And hopefully one of these guys can be better at that. And it doesn't really matter if they're walk-ons because there's not that many scholarships being handed out to kickers and punters.
Can you average more than 35 yards a punt? I think that's a simple ask, right? Especially when your job is kick the football, kick it very far.
Now let's get to Colorado. They're 3-2 overall, 0-2 in the Pac-12. 57th overall in total offense. Funnily enough, they're 1 spot behind Colorado State in total offense, but they are 126th in total defense. That is out of 130th.
That's not good.
Out of 130, excuse me.
And we knew it wasn't good, right? We've seen in every game that Colorado's played because it's very hard to not pay attention to what Colorado has done this year, what they've been this year. Even the defense against Nebraska, and Nebraska scored the fewest points against Colorado this year, was suspect very early on for Colorado.
So I'm going to diagram for the camera what I saw out of Colorado's defense last week. There's a big circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And around the circle it's very wide, very, very spread out circle. There's the defensive players for Colorado. In the middle of that very wide circle is a USC receiver just standing there with what seemed like miles around them. And this defense is bad. That's what I'm trying to say here. Is this defense is not good. And ASU should be able to capitalize on that. They have enough playmakers. Jalen Conyers, just get him in space. Elijah Badger, get him in space. Geo Sanders, we saw him emerge on Saturday. Get him in space. It's even Scatterbo in the passing game. I thought he's been a better receiving back than his third best thing this year has been running the ball.
I've really, it really reminds me of what Eno was able to do in the receiving game. Like when they had to go down.
He's a better receiver than Eno.
But you know how when they had to run 2-minute drills. And all they would do is just dump it down to Eno.
Dump off to Eno. Yeah. Eno's going to make a man miss if he's met with a challenge. And then they'll get the
first down and the clock will stop.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like Scatterbo's able to do. Like you can dump it down to him, he'll get the first down.
It's just the difference is he's slightly smaller in terms of the build that Eno was able to offer. But
correct.
Yeah, the mantra is the same. And to your point, Jesse, about all the open space in the middle of the field, that has to be like money for an offensive coordinator in Kenny Dillingham and for a quarterback like Trenton Bourguet, who, if he's not going to throw the ball far down the field anyway, just do your tight end dump-offs to Conyers or to even Messiah Swinson. Have your crossing routes for Elijah Badger, Xavier Guillory, and Gio Sanders. Like, it's right there. Take it.
I don't even know if it's necessarily across the middle. It's literally everywhere. Like a dump off to a running back, a wheel route to a running back would be amazing. There's so much you can do to attack this Colorado defense. From what I saw, they're just not very good. So
they are missing possibly their best defensive player.
Correct.
Travis Hunter.
Can we tangent off?
Which again, it sucks for him. But if you're ASU, you take advantage of the fact that Travis Hunter is not on the field.
Can we tangent off that point just for a second? Like, how much of an impact does Travis Hunter make? How much of a difference does one man who is their best defensive back make? And the question, it comes from a conversation I was having with some buddies after the USC game where Colorado lost by 1 score. Does a Travis Hunter make a difference for them defensively in that sense?
Of the ball.
Both sides, but I'm just defense right now.
I think
just
specifically, now that we've seen Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver just stand out in that receiving core, having that third guy in Travis Hunter, and he'd be their number one if he were out there, it would create so much more space. They could have scored 60 last week on USC if he was playing.
Yeah, and on defense, though, like, as well, he's a very talented player.
But I mean, like, even if the scheme is the same, and you created the diagram of a circle, and then here's our receiver in the middle.
Oh, no, I don't think that's the scheme that's the problem. I think it's just the players are not good enough to stop said weapons on other teams, so there's a ton of space there.
But Travis Hunter, in that defensive scenario, he would make a difference to your thing.
Probably, okay. Yeah, I would say so.
I'm just curious.
But he's not playing, so ASU doesn't have to worry about him.
That's
so
my
attack
point.
That side of the field.
You know who is playing, though, expected to play is Shiloh Sanders. He returned to practice. Did not play against USC. So he returned to practice the other day.
It's a tough loss for them.
He's expected to play.
Yeah. I meant against USC.
Yeah. Now, in terms of their offense, it's pretty dang good. Shedeur Sanders, 1,781 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. Now, their rushing attack has been kind of weird because Dylan Edwards, he's been the lead back, kind of struggled the last 2 weeks. But obviously ASU's really struggled stopping the run. And then Anthony Hankerson had a really good game against USC, 16 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. So it's kind of it's been this way for USC all year where someone in the running game has stepped up.
Colorado, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. For Colorado, where someone in the running game has stepped up. You saw it in the TCU game where they just kept going back and forth between different running backs, and I think they're going to continue to do that because there's no real lead back for this team.
But, I mean, that could also work to your advantage if you're CU. And think about it from ASU's perspective, too. Not having had DeCarlos Brooks the past couple of weeks, I think, has really hampered the running game. When you're relying on Cam Scatterbo as much as you have, and that's not to knock Tevin White, that's not to knock Kyson Brown, but when you don't have your 1-2 punch fully established, it's a much more difficult time to establish a running game, and then you're stuck passing a lot. And I think we've seen, with Shedeur in particular, his passing yards are where they are because they've struggled to establish the running game, unlike they did in Week 1 against TCU. It's been a rough go for them, and I think we've noticed that basically in the statistics.
Colorado's not very good. They just have a very good quarterback. I think that's kind of what we've come to.
A very good quarterback that's been sacked 25 times this season.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's really nothing that's that good at Colorado other than Shedeur Sanders. I mean, yes,
Travis Hunter,
but he's hurt. So there's really not been like, wow, Colorado. Like, it's been.
Xavier Weaver, shout out USF, has been really good. And
why are we shouting out USF?
I don't know. Why not? Shout out USF.
Did he transfer from there?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Let's just make sure that we know that.
And Jimmy
why
Horn.
we're shouting.
Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver have been great in the receiving game too. Like they've been standout receivers for Shedeur Sanders.
And their tight end too, Michael Henderson. I don't want to get his last name wrong, but he was a walk-on for them, I believe. He was one of the few guys that wasn't one of those true transfer overs for Dion's crew.
Hankerson's the backup running back.
Oh,
you were close.
My bad.
Yeah, but no. So he has weapons, but the offensive line, no good.
Yeah, they're again. I watched the tape, and he would get killed on some of his throws.
You don't have to go further than their game against Oregon. Shedeur had literally no time in the pocket, and was getting sacked almost every offensive possession.
DJ Green,
yes,
feast.
Tate Romney, feast.
So, if Colorado decides to not run the ball, ASU can beat this team. But if they decide to establish the run, they may have some problems because their inside defensive tackles have not been playing too well the past few weeks.
Look, Dylan Edwards, true freshman, he showed that he can compete at this level in that week 1 game against TCU.
Sure.
And it hasn't come back yet because really the defenses that they faced have been really good except for USC. USC's defense was not good, but Edwards still struggled. This would feel like a game that Dylan Edwards gets to bounce back if it's me nervous about how ASU's defense is going to hold down. Even though Colorado's offensive line is not the greatest, and we've pointed out plenty of stats that indicate that, this feels like that, oh man, I'm ready to feast game
also,
for Dylan Edwards. Watch
out for Shedeur and the rushing game as well, especially when ASU,
he can move.
When ASU comes after him, which they will. From the statistics, the statistics say that they will be able to apply pressure. The thing that you have to do is, wrap up and tackle and bring Shedeur down, or else he's gonna escape and run. So ASU's got to make sure that they do that, because that's another threat in the running game that could be a big problem on Saturday.
It was on full display against Colorado State, his running abilities, especially in those final couple drives. So, I mean, he's a very good quarterback, and ASU's got their hands full when it comes to him on Saturday. Also a player to watch out for, Amarion Miller just absolutely came out of nowhere and had an incredible game against
Exploded
USC.
Against
7
them.
receptions, 196 yards, 1 touchdown. First game of the season for him that he's had over 100 yards receiving.
And it seems like he supplemented the loss of Travis Hunter very well in that game against USC. So maybe they utilize him again in a similar kind of capacity.
So yeah, their 3-headed monster's pretty good in terms of their wide receiving game. It's just stopping the run that ASU's gonna have to do and get to the quarterback. That's the biggest thing that they have to do if they want to come out with a W this week. Also, hello, old friend, Jawan Mitchell.
Is he an old friend?
Yeah, I mean, he was on ASU.
For like
casual acquaintance, maybe we can say.
A little bit.
He was dismissed earlier this summer from ASU. He leads Colorado in tackles with 31 this season. So Coach Prime had some pretty nice things to say about Kenny Dillingham. Even said that they were looking to bring him in to the Colorado staff, Mitch.
Well, so they never really implied if it was the Colorado staff or maybe it was when he was with Jackson State. But yes, some very, very positive and nice things to say about Coach Dillingham. Seems like that they've had a prior crossing paths kind of relationship. Well, Sanders is really he was really recognizing how talented and creative of an offensive designer that Dillingham is. And look, Coach Prime has said it all year long. He doesn't go for the bull junk. He doesn't want to make things personal. He's all about just going out there doing his job. And if he's got nice things to say, he has nice things to say. He had some very nice things to say. But I'm also curious how that would have impacted the particular hire of Dillingham here if Coach Prime ended up getting his way.
again, Dillingham's would take the ASU job. Like, it's his dream job. He said that.
Right.
You're going to take a head coaching position, and he would take a group of 5 head coaching position over working as an assistant under Dion.
Coach Prime.
But Jeremy, this harkens back to a bit that we had on the show last year when Jake Anderson was still with us. Did Jeremy read Jake's articles? And this Jeremy saying that he was going to be hired at Colorado.
Possibly, I said.
No.
I said possibly. Roll the tape.
Roll
the tape.
Mitch, decide.
I look. I tried to save any accidental aggregation.
I said
over
possibly
here.
even.
Well, anyway,
you have the quotes. Just read them.
If you had read said article, which is not very long, it's I don't know if he would want me to tell this story, but I was assembling a staff once upon a time, and I am not going to tell you who or for what, but he was part of it. Sanders said Tuesday. So again, no definitive that it was Colorado or not.
And for the record, I looked it up because I was curious to see, like, would it have been in Colorado? Would that have made sense? Kenny was hired before Coach Prime was.
For the listening,
legit, by the way, it's legit.
For the listening audience, Jeremy is now reading said article, or he was just reading said article
from ArizonaSports.com.
Yes, from ArizonaSports.com on.
You can also find it on the Arizona Sports app.
Yeah, that's on the podcast currently. So, Jeremy just killing it, over here.
I always kill it.
Hey, it's okay. We help. And now Jeremy knows next time to read Jake Anderson's. Not Jake Anderson, but read articles.
Not Jake Anderson. But here's what I'll say about this whole thing. I wasn't like putting 2 and 2 together on how they would have crossed paths before, but Kenny Dillingham coached at Florida State, and you would think that when Dion maybe came back to see a game or two or watch practice, even he would have Coach Prime, excuse me, he would have crossed paths with Kenny Dillingham at that point. Maybe.
You know what? If you're going to correct all the times that Jesse has said a different name for Coach Prime, Dion, Sanders, however. You can't then fall into the pitfall of not saying Coach Prime. Come on, Jeremy.
DS. All right, enough. We love Jeremy. He's
Thank
doing
you.
a great,
No, it's okay. I'm happy.
He's doing a great job.
No, it's good. It's
steering us in the right direction.
He's doing a great job. He has a lot of videos to edit. He doesn't always get time to read said Arizona Sports article. I don't know who wrote this actually, other than that it's just by Arizona Sports.
Does it just say Arizona Sports?
It just says by Arizona Sports.
Nice contribution for the website, though.
Yeah.
However.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good find. Good words from Dion, too.
Hall of Fame inductees, Mitch, for Arizona State coming this weekend, right?
Yeah, so this weekend's football game, I believe it's a 3:30 kick, if I recall correctly, but this is also the Hall of Fame game, they call it, for ASU, where they're going to induct a new class of ASU Hall of Famers. I have the whole list here, so I'm just going to read it off really quickly.
So it's not in Canton, Ohio?
No.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's just the Carson Student Athletic Center or wherever they honor them in some state.
Well, you said the Hall of Fame
Do
game.
they do it on?
But it's
at a high school field?
Is it the... you guys are killing me.
I wish there was a mute button today.
I really do agree with that. All right, so here's who's getting inducted on Saturday. Men's track and field coach Greg Kraft. He will be joined by thrower Jordan Clark, who's a 4-time NCAA champion.
Not the Jordan Clark on the football.
Yeah,
No.
He has an E at the end of his Clark.
Yes,
Yeah.
although funny, the hyperlink accidentally goes to Jordan Clark, the football player's page. So
Good job,
subtle though.
What did I do? I didn't do that.
No.
You put it in there?
I copied.
That's you?
Hey, no. From this particular website where I got the information from. Anyway.
I wonder what that website is.
A name that 3 of us are all familiar with, former ASU baseball star Jason Kipnis. He's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Football wide receiver and local star Sean McDonald. He's kind of headlining the class. He's the one that they're promoting this all under. Water polo's Addison McGrath. And then volleyball's Regina Stahl-Mannix, or Regina Mannix, formerly Regina Stahl, become a local coaching legend in the community. So all of them are getting inducted into the ASU's Hall of Distinction, I think it's called, this weekend. So
Awesome.
Good for them.
Will that be at halftime of the football
That
game?
will be during the halftime portion,
Cool.
yeah.
Please
they do that.
stick around and give those people their proper ovation because they deserve it, and they've brought a lot of fun times and excitement to this this school and athletic department overall.
Last year I went down and filmed all of that. This year I'll probably send Mitch because I'm writing on Saturday, so you'll get to read what I have to say.
Sorry,
about the
what?
game. Yeah, I haven't.
You can check out Jesse's writing at arizonasports.com.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Mitch about. This is the first time I've brought up that idea.
Producing on air, great, love it.
I'm not producing on air. I'm just telling
You're
Mitch how-
bypassing the person that has the nice camera and lens.
Well, Jeremy's going to be editing first half highlights.
All right.
And I have an iPhone SE.
No, you don't have to go that far.
The
down.
home button's back, but the iPhone apparently it breaks if you drop it once, so you probably shouldn't.
Not
break
Well,
it.
it's
getting a
made out of
15.
titanium.
I'm not getting a 15. I'll tell you that.
They've switched the charging cable too, so now everybody's got the universal cable.
That's good.
from here on
Perfect.
out. Getting sidetracked, but I love
Volleyball
it.
beat Cal 3 sets to 2. They're now
Yes.
15-1 on
Back
the
in the
season.
win column, baby.
They're
Let's
back
go.
at DFA on Friday against USC. That's at 6 p.m. And then they're on Sunday they'll be at Mullet Arena against UCLA at 1 p.m. Please go out and support the volleyball team. They have been excellent this season. Again, 15-1, only lost to number 3 Stanford.
And the game against USC is J.J. Van Niel facing his former school where he was an assistant coach. So now that's kind of an intriguing,
Revenge game for Coach Van Niel.
intriguing storyline. I mean, I'm sure they're happy over at USC that he got a head coaching job somewhere.
Of course.
Soccer, they're 6-2-4 after a draw against Cal. They'll against Cal this past Sunday, and then they'll play Washington at 7 p.m. tonight, and then Washington State at noon on Sunday.
Both
Tonight-
of those home.
Both of those games at home.
Tonight, meaning Thursday. This is being recorded on a Thursday.
Yes. Tonight. Thursday.
Words. Attribution.
We got to do predictions.
Yes. Predictions.
Ooh, hold on. Let me do the...
Jesse.
I'm going to go with Colorado 56-31.
You think Colorado? Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sticking with my preseason prediction on this one when I was telling you don't sleep on Colorado, and Colorado's probably better than what they're worth. And their over-under projection for this year was at 3.5 total wins. And I think this is where they get it just because their offense is probably going to be too much to handle. So I'm going with a 48-35. 48-35. Colorado.
I'm going to make this personal.
Oh my gosh. You've even lowered your sunglasses for this.
ASU 56. Colorado 45.
Sheesh.
You have ASU scoring 56 points?
This defense not good.
Okay. All right. But they're not going to score 56 points.
ASU big dub against Colorado.
I have a quick question for Mitch before we go off the
Sure.
podcast. Mitch, you're wearing a Nirvana shirt, which makes me ask, what are 3 Nirvana songs not Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Not Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got Polly.
Okay.
You've got About a Girl.
Okay.
And you've got Come As You Are.
Good. I'm just saving you from the wrath of, I bet that guy doesn't know more than just Smells Like Teen Spirit in the comments.
The
because that-
Nevermind album is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Good.
Something in the Way, bro? Is something in the way,
There we go.
bro?
Wow, there we go. There we go. See,
You don't got the breed,
he's not
bro?
a fake fan. He's not a fake fan.
Stay
lost-
away, bro.
I've lost all control of this show.
Territorial pit. I don't know if I can say that on
If
the podcast.
you feel like you're being left out because of the video portion, guys, wave to the camera, say hi. You can go and check out the video portion of this podcast on the Arizona Sports
See us in our hats and sunglasses as
YouTube
well.
channel. Yes.
Not personal. It's not personal.
It's very personal. ASU is going to win this one. I'm guaranteeing a victory.
Colorado.
Come back and watch this.
God. We're the
Guaranteed.
worst.
You guys didn't guarantee a victory. You can't say that. I guarantee.
There's
I didn't say.
frauds.
I didn't say
They're
guarantee
still
nothing.
frauds.
That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening. You can find, again, this video portion of the podcast on the Arizona Sports YouTube channel. You can also find the podcast wherever you get your podcast, but you're already
Wherever.
listening to it, so you know that. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at AZ Sports Devils. We'll have all the content from Coach Prime visiting Arizona State University this Saturday. That
He's
game's
coming.
at 3:30.
He ain't hard to
PM.
find.
The game's going to be on ESPN 620 because the D-backs, congratulations, made it to the NLDS and will be taking on the Dodgers.
Woohoo!
So
Beat LA.
check
Always.
that out. You can check the game out on ESPN 620 and the Arizona Sports app. Coach Dillingham tomorrow, Friday, he'll be on Bickley and Murata mornings at 7:15 a.m. You can check Activate the Valley out every Friday as he joins Bickley and Murata. And, of course, For Mitch Vareldis and Jesse Morrison, my good friends, I'm Jeremy Schnell.
Wait, what?
We'll talk to you on Saturday after the game.